Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is Trump through the eyes of a prophecy teacher. In other words, I'm going to go out on a limb today and I'm going to give you my opinion on some things like I have never done before. And the reason is because I think it is important for you to know what someone that teaches prophecy thinks, someone that has memorized the book of Revelation, someone is called to find oil in Israel. Okay, so God's put a lot on my shoulders. And there's a lot of big decisions that Trump is making, and frankly, that you and I have to make these days. And hopefully, some of the things I say will help you to lean and make decisions in the correct direction. Now, before I get started, yes, we are getting low again in our account. Before we reach the emergency red stage, if God has blessed you and you can help us, we would really, really appreciate it. Okay. Also, I'm inviting you. I want you to come. I don't know another way to say it, but I want to meet you. I want to shake your hand. I want to hug your neck. I want to get to know some of these people that listen to Prophecy Club. So I'm asking you. I'm not just inviting you. I'm asking you to come. Yes, I know it may mean an air flight, a hotel, a couple of hotels. It may mean $200, $500, $1,000, depends on where you stay. But I want you to come to this. I'm asking you. I'm not just inviting you. I'm asking you to come. Come, introduce yourself to me. Many of you, I will recognize your name. Many of you have been following us for a long time. I'd like to meet you. Okay, so come to the Prophecy Healing and Deliverance Conference, September 11 to 14. Now, it's 6 seasoned ministers. We're going to be delivering 10 different talks over 2.5 days. Now, you can see the topics below, but today I'm going to just briefly touch on a couple of them. One is I've changed some of the things I'm talking on. Yes, I'm talking on the mark of the beast. Yes, I'm going to bring you some new insight. But I'm also, here's what happened this past Sunday. I brought a talk that I thought would be over most people's head. I was talking about secrets in ancient Hebrew, and I was shocked. Our congregation absolutely loved it. I had, I don't know, 5 or 6 people come up to me and say how great it was. I've had at least 2 or 3 people ask me for copies of the PowerPoint, so I'm going to expand on that. There are some big, big secrets within ancient letter level Hebrew, and you probably have never heard this before. I'm also going to be talking about my new book that hopefully will be coming out by the time we have this meeting. I'll hopefully have it there. And it's called The Pentecost Rapture of the Bride. I think God showed me a revelation. I've been I was pre-trib till 1999. Then I went total hard post-trib until he gave me a revelation. And it totally changed my perspective on the rapture. And I'm going to explain that at this meeting. Now, that's what I'm going to talk on. Let me briefly explain what Leslie's going to talk on. You can pause and read all of the topics, but basically, God told her she was an apostle recently, and the congregation all agreed. We bumped her up to apostle. And she's going to explain the role of a prophet, all of the things below, and I'm going to talk about it more in other programs that we'll have her on. But again, I'm asking you to come. I'm asking you to go to prophecyclub.com, right there, prophecyclub.com. Sign up to come. Sign up. I'd like to meet you, hug your neck, shake your hand, sign one of the books. If you have one of my books, or Leslie, sign one of her books. We're going to have them there. It's going to be, a time where you learn some things, but how about just a time of fellowship? How about a time where you get to meet me and Leslie, and we'll meet you, and we'll spend some good time together. We'll eat together. We'll have some fellowship together. So come to the Prophecy Healing Deliverance Conference. Okay, on to our topic. Now, let me back up, because before I get to that topic, I need to say a couple of things. My call is my number one call, of course, always, and every soul winner's call is always to win souls to Jesus. is to build the kingdom of God. And to do that, it is to bring Dimitri Duduman's testimony. I've told you I had a dream where God told me that is my call. That the dream said, I am Dimitri Duduman, meaning I'm carrying his message. And I do that a lot of different ways. But today, I'm going to get off of that track and I'm going to give you some personal opinions. Not that I'm trying to say I'm right. I'm trying to say maybe you want to know what I think about some of these topics. And I normally never ever do this. It's normally straight down the line what I've been called to warn people about, Dimitri and all of the things that are backing up all of the things that he was told. But today I'm going to get off of that topic. I hope I don't lose some friends over it. I think it's important for you to know from a person, 160 guest speakers. We figured up some 40,000 2.5 hour meetings on Bible prophecy, 73 3-day crusades, 5 books, memorized the book of Revelation, 330 DVDs with guest speakers. I've sort of been around the block a little bit. Maybe you would like to know my opinion on some of these things. So I'm going to give you personal opinion today. Now, please don't be offended. Sometimes someone's opinion you take and swallow it down. Sometimes you taste it and you spit it out. Sometimes you put it up on the shelf and you let it set and you wait to see if you're going to ever even look at that opinion again. So take that into opinion. Take that into account today, that there's things that I say you might agree with. There's things you might disagree with. There's things you might say, I don't know about that. Put it on the shelf, okay? So anyway, let me get started. Former President Donald Trump was inaugurated as the 47th President of the United States on January 20, 2025, serving his second term in office. Here are a list, according to what I could pull off the internet, of some of his current actions and policy focuses. His executive orders and regulations, my opinion on them. Establishing the Department of Government Efficiency with the aim of reducing the size and cost of the federal government, including agencies like USAID and the Department of Education. To that, I'll say it's a good start, but don't stop there. I think that we need a group of people that can go in, just like what we saw Doge do in the middle of the night, open up the computers and find the cockroaches and spray the cockroach killer and get rid of all those cockroaches, said in a nice way, okay? Reversing course on tariffs and imposing reciprocal tariffs on foreign goods. I'm going to say not only is he doing a good thing. Now, let me say something. Sometimes you and I have done something we thought at the time, based upon the information we had up to that point, we thought that that was the right thing to do. It blew up in our face, and we thought, okay, that wasn't such a good thing to do. I think, based upon the information we have up to this point, leveling the trading field with the other nations is a good idea. Now, sometimes the devil is in the details, and it could be that some of these tariffs that Trump is forcing on these other nations, I mean, I understand, okay, he's got to be rather forceful, and he is. He's kind of got to be a bit of a dictator, and he is. He's got to be saying a little bit of it's my way or the highway, and I'm the boss, and you're going to do it. So I understand that. And if he didn't do that, then the nations wouldn't change. But also sometimes I wish he was more like Ronald Reagan, where he could do it in a nice, kind way. So I think the tariffs to level the playing field is a good idea. Now, whether he can do it in such a way to where he doesn't make all of the other 198 nations out there angry at us, that's another question. So if he can level the playing field kindly without causing everybody in the world to get angry at us, that's a good thing. And that's a very difficult thing. So anyway, what he's doing, what he's trying to do is a very good thing, trying to level the playing field. Now, whether he can do that without making the rest of the world angry at us, that's the question. On to the next point. Requiring truck drivers to speak English and creating a list of sanctuary cities and states. Of course, that's a good idea. But here's the problem. What we've got to ask ourselves is, what was Biden, and by the way, it wasn't just Biden, it was the entire cabal. Now, let me explain what the word cabal means. So many things flying through my mind here. I'm going to try to keep it simple. When Moses came down off of Mount Sinai, climbed Mount Sinai, and he had the two sets, the tablets, the red granite tablets, written with the finger of God, the Ten Commandments. When he looked down, they were worshiping a molten calf. Well, that molten calf has a name. The name is Moloch, M-O-L-O-C or M-O-L-A-C. It depends on how you spell it. Anyway, in later scripture, it's also called Baal, B-A-A-L. This is the first religion, probably the religion that was brought to the Egyptians and then was forced upon the children of Israel before Moses came along. And without getting into all of that, that's a long talk. But when he saw them worshiping, that's when he broke the two Ten Commandments. The next day, he said, all of you that are for me, get your swords, go in and out of the tent, and slay all of the people that worshipped Moloch the night before. The Bible says it was some 3,000. You might be saying, what's so bad that they killed 3,000 people? Well, that's how bad Moloch and Baal and the worship of Moloch and Baal is. You have to understand that communism is just a little corner of Moloch and Baal. And a lot of the things that evil people, not just Biden, but the whole cabal. See, the word cabal means of Baal, B-A-A-L, Baal, okay? This is the worst religion in the planet. This is, you might say, Satan's wonderful creation for a religion. Anyway, their objective is to kill all of us, to kill anything, to stop anything that Jehovah God and His Son, Jesus Christ, loves. And if He can put people out onto our streets that don't speak English, can't read the English signs, and run over us and kill us, that's in line with Satan's goal. If He can produce sanctuary cities so that we don't kill or remove or incarcerate or whatever it needs to be to clean up our cities, that's in line with Moloch Baal. That's the cabal. That's the deep state. That's the evil. That's the Khazarian Mafia. Whatever name you want to attach to it, but the correct name is Moloch and Baal. I want us to understand from a prophecy standpoint, when we see truck drivers not speaking English, when we see sanctuary cities and states, it's just Moloch and Baal trying to kill Christians. And it's not just Christians. If the devil could kill people that are not Christians, that's fine with him too. He just wants to kill all of God's creation because He loves us. Unleashing the deep sea mining industry and expanding tree cutting on public lands. Well, the reason they don't want deep sea, or actually the reason they don't want mining at all or any kind of oil discovery, they don't want any blessings to come to especially the Christian nation, i.e. America. They don't want organization. They don't want blessing. They want to kill, steal, and destroy. That's what the Bible says. The devil comes not but for to steal, kill, and destroy. Is the correct order, I believe it is. So if they can get the trees to grow up where it's not safe, into the high lines, or some people running, whatever way they can kill us, that's a good thing. So you have to understand, communism is just a surface. It's a covering for Moloch and Baal. But at the end of the day, Moloch and Baal, I mean, what were they doing at the molten calf? I've talked about this. I have been there. I have been at the altar. I have seen what the children of Israel, trying to warn future generations, have written onto a big rock the size of the side of, well, like one of these billboards. When you're driving down the road, it's that big. And they drew pictures. What they were doing, get me off subject here just a little bit, but I'll take a little sidetrack. The way it all started was on some moonlit night, they said, anybody that wants to worship Baal, show up. And when the moon was at full, everybody takes their clothes off. And the rule is you get to do anything to anyone there that you want to do. But the rule is also you have to let them do to you anything they want to do. In other words, it's a free for all. Well, that was wonderful the first night. And that's what they were doing when Moses caught them, okay? That's what they were dancing around. They were taking their clothes off and having what they thought was a good time. And then, of course, 9 months later, a bunch of the ladies show up and say, we got these babies, we don't even know whose they are, okay? So they said, well, let's sacrifice them to Moloch. So they began killing the babies. And then someone started drinking the blood. And the blood was from a very scared out of its mind child. And it had a lot of adrenaline in it. And there comes your adrenochrome. They discovered that adrenaline from a child that was scared out of his mind actually made them younger. And that's the whole, maybe I shouldn't say, Disney thing. Okay, I don't have time to go into all that. Let me go on or I'll never get through all this. Okay, making it easier to fire federal workers. Well, why do we want to be able to fire the bad people? Because we want the Christian nation to fall. That's why. And targeting diversity. Why do we want to have diversity? Because we want to make the Christian nation fall by getting the lowest quality people, aside from skin color, lowest quality people into the leadership positions. A babe shall lead them. So that it's another way to make the Christian nation fall. Inclusion initiatives at universities. Again, it's another way to promote the evil that go to these universities, which is why Biden wanted to pay off all of the student loans, because when we can get them to these godless universities and they grew up in church, they were raised in church, we get them off to the godless universities, we get them into Moloch and Baal, and we get them into having sex outside of marriage and all kinds of drugs, and we get them away from Christianity. All of that is in our favor. Again, the devil comes not but for kill, steal, and destroy. Lowering prescription drug prices. Well, that's a good thing. But then, how good are those prescription drugs? Because I can tell you a lot of things that have happened to people, bad things, because they took prescription drugs. And attempting to impose healthcare price transparency. Well, I think that the doctors, the hospitals, the nurses, all need to make a fair income. I totally agree with that. And that they have an average and above average intellect. They have put above average effort and study into getting there. And so they should have, in my opinion, above average income. But I also think that it needs to be fair. And I know that Leslie's dad was a world famous eye surgeon. I'll just tell you, he invented the Style 30 eye implant lens. He was the doctor that started eye implants. He started operating on rabbit eyes because they are the closest to a human eye. He is the one that taught the doctors around the world to remove the smoky or it just blocked the eye implant lens, removed the old smoky lens out that they couldn't see through to put in a new lens. People walked into his office. An hour and a half later, they walked out having 20/20 vision. And I've seen how he would go to other nations at his expense, and he would stand there for days doing eye surgery, so many eye surgeries he could barely stand up. for free, helping people. So I think that when Jesus is in it, it works. When Jesus is not in it, it doesn't work. On the next thing, dismantling the Department of Education. Well, the Department of Education has basically been a cesspool to remove Jesus, to remove prayer from the schools, and to bring in a godless, antichrist education. So I'm all for shutting down things that try to shut down Christianity. But I wish Trump would ask people to start praying for America, ask people to start praying for him, and ask Americans to go back to church. There's a lot of people that love Trump, listen to Trump, they don't go to church. They hadn't donned the door of a church since they were a kid, maybe never. If he were to start asking just here and there, by the way, go to church this Sunday, I think he would be shocked at how many people would start going back to church and how many lives and how many souls would be saved from that. People listen to him, and yet he's not doing that. That's one of my biggest faults with him. Expanding access to in vitro fertilization. You know, I can't tell you. My own son has one child. Another one of my sons can't have a child, and they have tried IVF. So, hey, I'm all for it. You can't imagine the heartbreak of a couple that tries for 10 years, 15 years, ever since they were married, to have a child and cannot, and go through all kinds of inhumane things that doctors do to them, trying to help them to get pregnant. And so, hey, if they want a child, help them get a child. Ending federal benefits for people in the country illegally. Okay, so if they're willing to break our laws by entering into our nation illegally in the first place, then are we supposed to take care of them? I think, okay, I know they're humans and they need to be taken care of, but I don't think we should give them free health care. I think we need to give them a free ride to the border. They can apply. You talk to the people that came in legally, and they don't like people getting in illegally. They want them to follow the correct path like they did. And also regulations. I was in the middle of a shower Sunday morning, had my head, my hair, my face, I was all lathered up every place. All of a sudden, the water cut off. So I'm standing in the shower, no water. I mean, it's drip, drip. It was not enough to even rinse off. Had to take the towel, wipe the soap away. So I called Leslie. We're getting ready for church. And I said, is there a truck out front just turned our water off? And so anyway, long story short, no, they didn't turn our water off. And no, we weren't behind. We had a regulator that went bad between the water meter and our house. And those kind of things, the state or the city, they force a person to do things. Like I just heard In-N-Out Burger is leaving California. One of the reasons is because they have so many of these regulations saying you got to put up plastic, between the other people. You got to have handicap places for people to buy. All of these regulations, and it's a good thing that's gone too far. Again, I'm giving my opinion. Okay, let's go on down to the next one here. Barring some access to student loan forgiveness. Wait a minute. Nobody forced them to fill out the papers for a student loan. And if they were approved for a student loan, my opinion is they need to pay it back. And if there's some extenuating circumstance, a death or, sickness or something like that, I don't know. But I mean, in general, they should be good to pay. Ending federal benefits for people in country illegally. Yeah, I agree with that. Regulations, reviewing regulations at all agencies. There's way, way, way too many regulations. I can tell you another story about that, but I'm not able to get to the end here as I see anyway. Immigration, securing the border. Yes, secure it. Pursuing mass deportations of undocumented immigrants. I would like to see not just what their ICE is doing now, just rounding up the criminals. I would like to see them putting up roadblocks, stopping people that are going hither and yon and checking to see if they are legal. And if they're not legal, put them in a bus, and the next day they're south of the border, or they're flown to, wherever you're from. In other words, I would be doing a lot more, and especially if they're bad people, men or women, if they're bad people, get them out. They may not have broken the law yet, but if they came here illegally, they need to be introduced to their home. And ending the illegal, and I'm telling you my opinion, ending the illegal immigrant parole scheme. Again, they broke the law coming in. I don't think they should have any special privileges. See them home. Economy and trade, expanding tariffs, promoting American manufacturing, and focusing on energy dependence. I think we should do the very best that we can in life, and that includes manufacturing. We should drill, baby, drill. We should mine, baby, mine. We should not be beholden to China for rare earth minerals. Social issues, establishing a White House faith office, absolutely protect religious liberties. As a matter of fact, what I would like to see is take all of the money from the godless Harvard that was started as a Christian university, and the godless Columbia, and what's the other one that was started also as a Christian university, take all of their money and go give it to ORU, give it to some of the Christian universities. Give the money from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to churches, to Christian radio, Christian TV stations, instead of the godless places. Yeah, why not? I mean, I struggled for years trying to stay on Christian radio and Christian TV. I would have loved to have had a check coming in every month to pay for even a small portion of that, any kind of help. But Christian broadcasting, radio, TV, churches, that get no help from the government. International relations. Engaging in trade disputes with China and other countries, resuming sending weapons to Ukraine. I think America needs to walk away from Ukraine. Stop all assistance to the Nazified Ukraine, and Russia is actually trying to denazify Ukraine. That's the whole point. But that's another thing. I think we need to start finding and finally turning off the media, the godless media that is lying to people. The FCC can do that. So whoever's heading up the FCC, you need to start putting a stop to this filth in the universities. And I'm running out of time, so let me just close by saying, don't let us get down to the very bottom of the barrel again. If you can help us with a donation, help us to keep going, we would really appreciate it. Not only that, but also we're trying to go to Pakistan and Honduras. So we need more than just, hey, let's pay the bills. Instead, let's go out and pray for and take the gospel to other nations too.